So you want to steal my thumbnails. Huh. All right, it's fine. I don't care. In fact, that's quite a compliment. So thank you. That makes me feel better about my thumbnails because for the last 2+ years, I stress about my thumbnails way more than I should. In fact, it's nonstop. I go back and change thumbnails from a week ago, 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago. So it is a problem and it has changed many times over the last 2+ years. So today I am going to show you and everybody that is interested how to make them, or at least the process that I go through, and maybe that will be enough to help you make your thumbnails in whatever style you want. So if you copy mine, I don't care. So first off, I pay for the Adobe suite. I use Adobe XD, which is actually a web design and prototype platform. This is just something I've been using for many years. I did web design for many years. So I have a file here, and what's nice about this versus using Photoshop. So if you use Photoshop, you have to work within essentially just one file, maybe copy stuff from an old file, bring it back and forth, and blah, blah, blah. Work with a lot of layers maybe. So with Adobe XD, the reason why I like it, it's super fast. And you get this gigantic board. So it's kind of like a, like a little pinup board. You can just plug all these things in. This is not doing any of the prototyping stuff, none of the web design stuff. All I did was make a box that fits the size of a thumbnail, okay? And then I just go through and I spend a lot of time making all this stuff. So what's really cool about this is that you can go back and reference, like, okay, if I maybe had some thumbnails over here that did really well, what was it that worked with this one? How do I apply this effort into a new thumbnail? So I might just copy this one and then go to wherever my current workspace is, which is up here. And then I'll just do this, and I'll paste a copy of that and then remove all of the bits and pieces. So this is what a board looks like by default. It's just a white board, but I put this gradient layer in. And if you tap this section, you can actually change your gradient, and it's so much faster than Adobe Photoshop, but I still have to use Photoshop. Sometimes I'm thinking ahead of time of what I want my thumbnail to look like. So an instance of that is with this brand new S.H. Figueroa's Deadpool and Wolverine. I have all the different clips that I go through for my B-roll, but because I was considering what my final shot could be for the thumbnail, I actually recorded it. So I have this, which is now a pose that I can put in the video, and then I just stopped the motion, found a good shot. Now, you should take photos. Lighting is crucial no matter what your thumbnail is. But the lighting is going to be a huge part of making this pop in the thumbnail. That's why we got all this, and that's what I do for my other stuff. What am I saying? Anyway, you should just be taking photos, but because I do video so much, sometimes I just find the shot that I need for the thumbnail because of the video. Now, the reason why you want to take a photo is because the depth is there. All of and there's no blur or anything, so you have like this really crisp shot. But because I basically just took a long photo, I will go in here, find this, and then I will do a screenshot. And on a Mac computer, I can select the area I want to do a screenshot of. And then I drag that into this program. So now I have this thing that I can move around, change however I want. If I make it smaller in this program, it does not compress the image. So the quality stays the same no matter what. So if I change it at any point, it's always the high quality image, which is important. I will right click and then edit in Photoshop. So I am still using Photoshop. The problem with Photoshop though, is it can just be really taxing on a computer, and I have a Mac Studio, so it shouldn't be. First thing I do when I bring it in, I go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. And then I adjust these to just kind of give it a bit more punch. So you have your dark section here, you have your midtones, and then your highlights. So typically I will bring the highlights in, bring the darks in, and then start messing around with the midtones to kind of help bring some light to the shadow areas. I click OK. And then the only thing with Adobe XD is that when you bring an image into it and export it, it really desaturates things. Like this image looks more desaturated here than if I just worked in Photoshop. So I have to overcompensate for that. And I go to Image, Adjustments, and Vibrance. I always bump Vibrance to about 30. And then Saturation, I just bump to where it looks super saturated, obviously. So this is a lot, but I'm compensating for what's going to happen in Adobe XD. So if you remember, look at how muted this is. So I'm gonna save it and you'll see this update, bam. That is much better. Now I can't stop there, unfortunately. I mean, maybe you could, but I don't want the diorama in there. I don't want that blue background because that intensity of that blue changes. Plus I like to be able to adjust this gradient back here so that I have more focus on where you're looking as a viewer. So if I wanted you to see this, I would highlight behind it or the arrow or this part of his arm versus his face and just change that depending on what image is back there. So in order to do that, that means I have to cut out the background. This is a great thing about having my setup is that the background's pretty much always a solid color. And there are multiple ways to capture or remove backgrounds. Now, I like to be very detailed, as I think most of you probably know if you watch the channel. So there is that select feature in the bar. You can see around his ear, there is actually some, I have to like do some work. So I'll grab this lasso tool over here on the left. And then using the plus feature, I want to add to the selection. So now I'm doing that. So I run around this entire image and clean up sometimes to the detail level that you might not even notice even in a thumbnail, but I got to add like his cheek here. I got to use the negative tool to remove some of the blue background there. And once I go through and do all of that, so let's just assume that I did all of that, I will invert my selection so the background is selected and then delete it. Obviously, there's a lot more cleanup that would need to be done here. And then when I save it here, it will update. So now there's no background, right? This now allows me to take this background, adjust this to see where I want the focus of the image to be. Like perhaps I go this way if I'm going to add some text, or this way just to add more interest in the line that's being created here. Now, I've already made this thumbnail. So this is, I'm not going to go through all that work, but then once I make that thumbnail, I have multiple versions created. I will also go in and create a shadow in this program. So let's move these guys out of the way. This shadow is just a shape that I've created with a pen tool. And then I just to change the brightness, or the opacity rather. And then if I want it blurred or not to help kind of create the illusion of a soft shadow. So from there, I'm creating multiple versions of one image because this is the most confident image that I have in my brain for this video, because it's on theme. You get both of the characters in it. And I think that's important when you have more than one character. And I really want to go back and do this with some older thumbnails that I just like, if I have more than one character, I don't know what to do. This is basically telling a story, finding out, do I want maximum effort? Is that too on brand? So I did maximum articulation. So it's a little play on the Deadpool stuff, and then how to fix, because that is the point of the video. Now, once we create thumbnails, we also still need to worry about titles, the description in the video. And I'll do like a quick rundown after this to show you. This is typically what it looks like for me. I will have done all of the cutouts, find the frames and everything that I want to use, and then find all of these different. So these are 4 versions for the same video here. And this one has just got reused. So these 2 are technically a different video. So let me just move those out of the way. I made all of these in an attempt to find the best thumbnail for this video. With YouTube, not everybody has this feature. Maybe everybody does now. You can upload up to 3 different thumbnails that will be tested to the audience at the same time. That is why I also put a lot of effort into this. Or I'll just find which one makes the most sense to me visually. If I don't have the idea in my head, like doing this Deadpool thing, I was taught many years ago to do this, and I just make it a habit. I name every thumbnail with keywords that the video is about. without going over the top. So I would just call this one SH Figuarts Deadpool and Wolverine Figure Review. And then I will put my channel name at the end. So let's delete that because we didn't need it. Let's say that there is, I don't know, we're doing another video, something that I didn't really plan the thumbnail, like I just didn't know what to do. So I'll go through here, I'll look at my original video files, maybe try to find an idea. Here's all the B-roll. I'm like, okay, is this something that maybe there's a good shot of me holding an item that is kind of important to this figure? And if I do that, it plays in this realm. So this is like, okay, what's going on? It's something that might grab some attention. And same thing here with Trunks, which was the baby. Let's hold up the baby. Now this video is coming out in the future. Sorry, but there's a little sneak peek. You can let me know which thumbnail you see in the future. But you can see here, there's multiple types of thumbnails happening here that I'm trying to my best to get the best version of a thumbnail. But let's just say we're looking at this Leona, and I have a few poses showing off the hands and things, but I'm not really sure. I didn't think about what that thumbnail could be. So maybe there's something in here. I'll play this, I'll pause it, and then I'll just kind of scroll through. Yeah, there's not really anything there. Perhaps I have like a good frame that shows off the figure and the access. No, okay, so I can't use that. Maybe during the articulation phase, I'll find something. And then I'll just go through here. Oh, that seems like it could be good. Just for the sake of it, we're gonna say that, is there something I can get where there's a little bit more focus on the eyes and the mouth? That's pretty good as far as crispiness of the image. The challenge with doing video is that you get a lot of this, where things are blurred. You might find a shot that you think, oh, well, that's not good. So there's movement happening. This is why photos are usually the best way to go. There have been plenty of times I found a good frame to use, but then the problem was it was just a little bit out of focus. So look, we're gonna say that this right here is something that I wanna use. So the same thing, we're gonna do a screenshot of this, bring it into Adobe XD, and then right click, edit in Photoshop. Now, I gotta go through the same stuff. I have to adjust the levels. We're gonna bump up the brightness, push down the dark, and then play around with the mids to kind of get some life back in there. Now, adjustments, vibrance, I always go to 30, it's just kind of where I'm at now. And then I push the saturation. Challenge here, a few things. My skin itself starts to become too much of a focus because it's like adding a lot of orange to it. So from there, I gotta really be cautious of what I'm doing. What happens is I will select the subject, I will get the lasso tool, I'll clean up all of this. We're just gonna do a rough version for the sake of this video, and then invert the selection and delete it. Save it and check it out over here. So now the background is gone. A few things I need to do. One, I need to soften this edge because it's technically out of focus, but now has a hard edge. So I will use an eraser tool and go through that has like a soft edge to it, and then just go all the way through this edge to soften it. You don't have to overthink it, but you can do these details to really help make a difference. And you can see how much softer that is, especially once it's in a thumbnail size. A few other things. I mean, skin, fingernails, cuts, whatever it's happening on a hand. At this extreme close detail, you really got to clean it up because naturally this is fine, but looking at it this close is kind of gross. So I'll use this clone stamp tool. I'll select an area and then just try to soften up all of that stuff that's dry skin because of the seasons. Get rid of all that so it's not so in your face, especially if there's like a hangnail. We just got to get rid of that. There might be some imperfections. We'll say like, oh, I want to get rid of this. I mean, this is not the case, but if I wanted to clean up that string so it's not distracting, I can do that as well. Same thing with the fingernail here. Just soften all of this up with the clone tool so that it don't look so stinking gross. So all of those steps, there might be a lot of things that happen to like highlight or bring some more depth to her. But one of the solutions that I've found is that I will take one of these quick selection tools, find her or the figure, remove anything that is me. So I need to get rid of this finger, and I would go a lot more precise in a normal scenario. And I will copy and paste her, so now she's by herself. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to take this skin tone layer that my fingers are in and then reduce the saturation here so that she is the main focus. Now, when I save that, there, my hands just are there. I see based on the saved file in Adobe XD that I want to boost her even further. Remember, we want to compensate for what XD does. So now she's got some life in her. We know my hands are there. Again, I would go in and clean things up even more, but the general idea is there. From there, I need to select this background gradient, find where I want the focus. Do I want it to go this way or with the hands? Maybe I'm going to put some text or an arrow. Let's just say I take this arrow and I'm going to put it over here and just point at something like her earrings that move. Well, let me flip this thing upside down because I probably want to add some text, and we will just say, just for the sake of this video, it moves. Not great text for a thumbnail. It needs to have more relevance, but the idea is that her things do move. Now I want to convert this text to a path so that I can work with like the drop shadows and the borders and things, because when you try to put a border on text in Adobe XD, it only puts it on the inside, which is not good. So it makes the like that happen. So if I convert, which is Command 8, I can now switch that to the outside, which is the best way to do it. I will typically copy one of these items and then paste its attributes into the new text. So now I have this. You'll see in a lot of thumbnails where I work with white and yellow just to kind of create a little bit more emphasis. It's like creating a capital word in your title. This feels a little off, I mean, for several reasons, but for the sake of this scenario, I want to get more blue behind her because that's actually allowing her to pop. I'll zoom out a lot so that I can kind of get an idea. What does the thumbnail look like on a phone, or, you know, if it's in a different part of YouTube, and just play around with where the attention of the eyes gets brought to. So this feels a little bit better to me. So I'm going to work with this and I'll export the file to upload it to YouTube. Again, one of the great things here is that I now have the ability to see multiple thumbnails at once. I can reference any of my old things. Maybe something will trigger a new idea, or I will just kind of copy the theme that worked for another video. This video for her worked really well, so I'm going to kind of copy the format. I will upload those 3 images to run as a test and see which one performs the best. So once I export all of those things and then I go to YouTube Studio, let's work on this one. This is the most recent one. So from here, it's really important to have a captivating title. This is not always easy. In fact, it can be very hard to do. And I change titles even the day I put it out. I change it many times before I release it, maybe a week after, just trying to get people to click on it. But I will also use this vidIQ tool to kind of help me. It's not the best thing, but when they have promotions for 99 cents for a month, it's worth installing. You can do vidIQ's thing for free as well and get some suggestions. So I do recommend it, but I will do this. I will come down here in this first description. I will make sure that all of the important keywords for the figure are here. Keeping that very short allows you to see any links. So if you're trying to help people buy whatever that thing is, or you're promoting your own items, you need to keep that sentence very short so that you can see, hey, here's where the link is. And then I always pin that comment in the video so people can easily access that stuff, which is important, especially if any of these links make you money. All right, so once I have a good title, a good first sentence that has the keywords for the brand, what the people might actually look for, keep in mind, like up 2% of your audience should come from search. You want people to click on your videos because they saw it on the homepage or after watching another video. Once that first line's in, any links I need, anything additional, some things I have that just are pasted in automatically that I do on other parts of YouTube that you can keep for future reuse. Then at the very bottom, I will put 3 tags. You can do up to 3 tags that will show up on YouTube under the title while people are watching a video. Only 3, okay? I've seen people go through and have like 50 of them in the description. Only 3 matter, so just get 3 of the best put them at the bottom because they don't matter to the audience. Then I will put it in whatever playlist. I select all this crap, and then tags. Now, tags are good for search. Tags are good for making the video relevant to the rest of YouTube so that YouTube can put it where it needs to belong. So it will find related things. This person over here has been watching a lot of Bro Toys videos or Resident Evil videos. Now, this video should help get pushed to that audience. vidIQ gives you all these numbers to kind of help you rank, understand the ranking and stuff. I will do only things that are relevant to this video. Farthest I'll get away is action figures because it's kind of generic, but that's what this is. Otherwise, 5K toys, Bro Toys, who the characters are, action figure versions of that, my channel name, all of those things that are related just to this video will go in there and nothing more. Do not dump crazy amounts of words into that. As you can see here, the file name has the name of this set. So the thumbnail and the video file name are keywords to help YouTube understand what this video is. So do all of that, set that stuff up. These things do matter. Some of them, like tags, might be not as important as they used to be. I don't know, but I've done all of this. I'm taking advantage of every tool I can to maximize how this video gets out there. Now, here's important info that you need to hear. Whether you copy this thumbnail style or something from a tech channel that's getting millions of views or whatever you do that inspires your thumbnail designs, just make sure that the content on the other side of that thumbnail has all of this information, but that your content is good. Now, I know that's like, well, what makes it good? I don't know. I've struggled for years to always maximize the entertainment value, the production value of my content. So just find what makes you unique for your channel, whatever that is, and work on that. Don't overwhelm yourself with doing all of this at once or all of these things that how-to YouTube videos tell you to do. Work on what makes you happy, but don't overdo it to where you're frustrated or feeling overwhelmed. Work on one thing at a time. Slowly adapt your channel to become the next version of the channel. Stop doing the same thing every single time. If you find something is working, then repeat that. You can still change things within that video, but whatever your most successful video was, or your last 5 successful videos were, copy some things from that, apply it to the title, the thumbnail, the introduction of your video, and most importantly, stop having an intro to your video that is just like your channel name or a theme song or something like that. Get rid of it. Focus on showing the audience what they came there to see. If you like to have an intro, there are exceptions. Sir Dork is one of those. Look at what he is doing. He has a whole thing at the beginning where he tells you what's going to happen in the video. You're seeing the figure in the first few seconds of the video, and then he just does his little branding thing that jumps right back into the start of the whole video. So it can be done, but if you're new, maybe get rid of it or use it in a way that works for him. It should be like 7 seconds or less. But there you go, folks. I hope this was helpful. Let me know down in the comments if there's some stuff you'd like to see. This is a totally new adventure for me to make this kind of content, but I wanted to kind of play with this idea. I actually have seen a lot of people copying my thumbnail style, and honestly, it's fun. Just work on everything we talked about today, work on the content you're doing, and find a way to make your stuff unique to the audience so that they want to watch you versus somebody else, or in addition to somebody else. If you enjoyed this, then click the top link there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.